10 rock songs, every one of them written about the Second World War by people who mostly weren't there. Some of them lost fathers. One of them read 40 books before he wrote a single line. One of them got dropped by his own record label. You've had these riffs in your ears your whole life. Tonight, you're going to hear what's underneath them. Number 10, The Kinks. M.R. Churchill says, 1969.
We shall fight them in the street.
This one was written for a television program that was never made, and it might be the most honest thing anyone in rock ever said about Churchill. 1969. Ray Davies is deep into concept albums. He develops a screenplay with writer Julian Mitchell for Granada Television, built around a character called Arthur, based on Ray and Dave's real brother-in-law, Arthur Anning, who'd emigrated to Australia in 1964 with their sister Rose. The plan was a TV play with a Kinks soundtrack. The program never happened. The album came out anyway, in October, Arthur, or The Decline and Fall of the British Empire, and side 2, track 2, is Mr. Churchill Says. Ray builds the whole thing out of Churchill's actual language. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. We shall fight on the beaches. This was their finest hour. Then he drops a real air raid siren into the record and lets it circle. And suddenly, you're not in a rock song anymore. You're in a street with a house on fire. Now here's where it gets complicated. Talking about the song shortly after the album came out, Ray Davies said something you wouldn't expect from a British songwriter in 1969. He said he didn't really know about Churchill, that the man might have been more ruthless than the country had been led to believe. That when the battle's over and you've won, you always look good, but what was actually achieved by it? Stay with me, because that's the whole song. It isn't mockery, and it isn't a hymn. It's both at once. It's a man who grew up in post-war North London, in the ration queues, being told his entire childhood that this was the finest hour, and quietly asking, finest for who? If you ever sat with a grandparent who lived through it and wouldn't talk about it, you understand that silence perfectly. And here's a small thing that still gets me. In the UK, this song came out on the B-side of Victoria in December 1969. The B-side. That's where it was buried. Number 9, Al Stewart, Roads to Moscow, 1973.
General Guderian stands at the crest of the
8 minutes long, and it might be the most researched song on this entire list. Past, Present, and Future, 1973. Three years before Year of the Cat made Al Stewart a name in America. He's a Scottish folk rock songwriter obsessed with history.
surely coming. The evening road leads to Stalingrad.
And he decides he's going to write the Eastern Front, not a battle, the whole thing, 4 years of it. So he reads.
Softly we'll move through the ruins, the bow to the ground.
Guderian's Panzer Leader, Zhukov's Memoirs, Koestler's Darkness at Noon, Solzhenitsyn. By his own account, roughly 40 books went into one song.
A fire in the air, glowing red silhouette.
And the song moves like the war did. It opens on the 22nd of June, 1941, Operation Barbarossa.
In the footsteps of Napoleon, the shadow figures stagger through the winter.
The German army crossing before dawn, with the narrator watching Soviet planes destroyed on the ground where they sat. Then the retreat. Then partisans in the forests. Then Stalingrad, then tigers burning in the dark, then 4 years of carrying a rifle, and finally, the road west. He survives. He goes home.
They can't slow us down.
And then Al Stewart does the thing that makes this song devastating, because our narrator was captured by the Germans at some point, briefly. In Stalin's Soviet Union treated any soldier who'd been in enemy hands as compromised, possibly turned, possibly a spy. So this man, who fought the entire war, who watched everyone he knew die, who won, gets put on a train, not home, east, to the camps. Read that again.
And the sky is softly humming.
He does everything right. He survives the deadliest theater in human history, and the country he saved sends him to a labor camp for the crime of having been captured.
The old man and children, they send out to face.
If you've ever done everything asked of you and still lost, the raise, the marriage, the business, whatever it was, that final verse is going to sit in your chest for a while.
Falling back before the gates of Moscow stand.
And I'll say it plainly, I think this is the most underrated song of the entire 70s. Not underrated Al Stewart song, underrated song.
Gluing the tracks of the tanks to the ground while the sky.
I know some of you are going to disagree with me on that one, and I want to hear it.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
Number 8, Rush Manhattan Project, 1985. Here's a question. What's the one word Neil Peart never sings in a 5-minute song called Manhattan Project? Manhattan Project. Power Windows, October 1985. Rush's 11th album, the peak of the synthesizer years. Geddy Lee having just switched to the wall bass he'd play for the rest of the decade. Neil Peart is writing an entire record about different kinds of power, and one of those songs is about the bomb, and he was struggling with it, badly. He sat at a small desk in a barn in Elora, Ontario, while Geddy and Alex jammed, and the lyrics wouldn't come, because he refused to write it until he understood it. So he read 10 books about the Manhattan Project before he wrote a line. You can hear that research in the architecture. 4 verses, and each one is a doorway. Imagine a time, that's the dying days of the war. Imagine a man, a scientist pacing the floor. Imagine a place they gathered from across the land to work in the secrecy of the desert sand, Los Alamos. All the brightest boys with the biggest toys. Whoever found it first would be sure to do that. And then the 4th doorway, a man again, only this one's in a cockpit. Where it all began, a scientist facing. Here's what gets me about Peart's approach. He never lectures you. There's no verdict in that song. He gives you a scientist who can't sleep, a desert full of geniuses who got more than they bargained for, and a pilot, and then he steps back and lets you sit with it. The chorus doesn't say this was wrong. It says the big shots try to hold it back, fools try to wish it away, and the hopeful depend on a world without end. That's not a protest song. That's something harder. That's a man saying, this happened, humans did it, humans are still here, Now what?
Imagine a place.
And on a record full of synthesizers and 80s gloss, that's the track people still argue about 40 years later. Number 7, Sabaton, Night Witches, 2014. Every fact in this song sounds made up. Not one of them is. Heroes, 2014. Joachim Brodin writes it, and it becomes the album's opening track. That huge distorted radio crackle into a wall of sound. The subject, the 588th Night Bomber Regiment of the Soviet Air Force. All women, every pilot, every navigator, every mechanic. Women were barred from Soviet combat roles until Stalin authorized 3 all-female flying regiments. 261 women served in the 588th across the war. 32 of them died. Now here's the aircraft. They flew the Polikarpov Po-2, a biplane, wood and canvas, a trainer, the plane you learn on, not the plane you fight in, open cockpit. And their tactic was to cut the engine near the target and glide in silent, so the only sound was wind across the wires. That sound is what named them. German troops on the ground said it was like broomsticks passing overhead, Nachtexen, night witches. The women took the name and kept it. You're not ready for this part. The bombs were heavy and they flew low, so low that until 1944, they didn't carry parachutes at all. There was no altitude to use one. 2 years of nightly missions over enemy positions in a canvas aircraft, and if you got hit, that was the end of the conversation. They flew more than 23,000 sorties. 23,000. Their commander, Major Yevdokia Bershanskaya, received the Order of Suvorov, the only woman in history to be given it. 23 of her pilots became heroes of the Soviet Union, and most people in the West didn't hear about any of it until a Swedish metal band put it on a record in 2014. That's the thing about the Unlikely Heroes in the Skies line. It isn't poetry, it's a correction. History left them out, and a power metal chorus is what dragged them back in. If you learned about the Night Witches from a Sabaton song, you're in enormous company. Say so. I want to see how many of us there are. Number 6, Iron Maiden, Aces High, 1984. The voice at the start of this song is not from 1940, and once you know that, you'll never hear a Maiden show open the same way again. October 1984, Power Slave, recorded at Compass Point in Nassau with Martin Birch behind the desk. Steve Harris writes the opening track about the Battle of Britain, and it goes to number 20 in the UK, 29 in Ireland, which, for a song this immortal, is almost funny now. On the album, it just starts. But for the video, and then for every live performance that followed, the band bolted something onto the front of it. Churchill, we shall fight on the beaches. We shall never surrender. Drone of aircraft underneath. Then Nico counts it in and the place detonates. If you were at a Maiden show in 84 or 85 or 99 or 2008, you know exactly what that moment does to 20,000 people in a dark room. Here's the part almost nobody knows. Churchill gave that speech to the House of Commons on the 4th of June, 1940. The Commons wasn't wired for sound. He never repeated it on the radio that night. A BBC announcer read sections of it on the news instead, which means the most famous speech of the 20th century was never actually recorded. The recording everyone on Earth has heard? He made it in 1949, 9 years after the fact. At his country house at Chartwell, reportedly sitting up in bed because a record company asked him to do it for posterity. So every time an Iron Maiden concert opens with the sound of Britain refusing to fall, you're hearing a man in his 60s, in a bedroom, in peacetime, reading himself back to life. And it works anyway. That's what's remarkable. The myth is load-bearing, even when the timeline isn't. One more thing. Steve Harris wrote that song about pilots, and Bruce Dickinson went on to earn a commercial pilot's license and fly the band's own aircraft around the world. The singer became the subject. Number 5, Slayer, Angel of Death, 1986. This song got an album dropped by one of the biggest record companies in the world, and the man who wrote it spent the rest of his life being called something he wasn't. (1985). Slayer are on tour, and guitarist Jeff Hanneman stops somewhere and buys 2 paperback books about Josef Mengele, the SS physician who ran the medical block at Auschwitz and conducted experiments on prisoners there. Hanneman reads them on the bus and decides it's the most evil subject he could possibly write about. What he wrote is not a celebration. It's a catalog. It's grotesque because the crimes were grotesque. But Hanneman put no narrator in it, no condemnation, no distance, and that omission cost him everything. Def Jam's distributor was Columbia Records. Their president, Walter Yetnikoff, read the lyric sheet and refused to touch it. The scheduled April 1986 release was killed. Rick Rubin wouldn't pull the track, so Columbia walked away entirely. And Rain in Blood, 29 minutes, 10 songs, arguably the most influential thrash record ever cut, finally came out that October through Geffen, who distributed it while keeping their logo off the sleeve and leaving it off their release schedule. And once it was out, the accusations came. Nazis, fascists. It followed the band for 30 years. Hanneman was furious about it his whole life. He pointed out the obvious. The singer, Tom Araya, is Chilean. The drummer, Dave Lombardo, is Cuban. He told The Guardian in 1987 that the song was a history lesson and that you should be able to write about whatever you want. But here's the piece that reframes it. Hanneman's own father served in World War II and brought home medals taken from dead German soldiers. That's what started the fascination. A kid, in a house, holding objects his dad carried back from a war. I want to be clear about something, because it matters. The song caused real pain to Holocaust survivors and their families, and that pain is not a footnote. Both things are true at once. If you've ever been misread so badly the correction never caught up, you know how that follows a person. Number 4, OMD, Enola Gay, 1980. You have danced to this song in a club, at a wedding, in a car. Everybody has. and it's about 100,000 people dying in 9 seconds. Released the 26th of September, 1980, from the album Organization. Written by Andy McCluskey, who wrote it without Paul Humphreys because Paul was working on a building site at the time. It entered the UK chart at 35 and climbed to number 8 over 15 weeks. It went to number 1 in multiple European countries. It sold over 5 million copies, and the whole song is a set of coordinates. Enola Gay, the B-29 that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. 8:15, the time it fell, the 6th of August, 1945. Little Boy, the code name of the weapon itself. And then McCluskey wrote the line he said he was proudest of. Is Mother proud of Little Boy today? Because Colonel Paul Tibbets named that aircraft after his mother. Her name was Enola Gay Tibbets. A man painted his mother's name on the nose of a plane and flew it to Hiroshima. McCluskey has made that exact point when people asked how he could write a cheerful pop song about an atrocity. His answer, more or less, is that worse than naming the plane after your mother? Okay, this part gets absurd, but stay with me. The song was reportedly banned from Swap Shop, the BBC Saturday morning children's show. Not for Hiroshima, because someone at the BBC looked at the words Enola and boy and decided it was promoting homosexuality. That's real. The atomic bombing sailed straight through. The imagined subtext got it pulled. And Enola Gay Tibbets was still alive in America when that record was climbing the charts. Here's what stays with me. McCluskey has talked about standing on a stage watching a room full of people dance joyfully to it. Not because they're callous, because the melody is so good it carries the weight right past you, which is, maybe accidentally, exactly what the song is about. Number 3, Iron Maiden, The Longest Day, 2006. 22 years after Aces High, Iron Maiden went back to the war, and this time they didn't write about flying, they wrote about drowning. A Matter of Life and Death, August 2006. Adrian Smith, Steve Harris, and Bruce Dickinson. 7 minutes and 48 seconds. The title comes from Cornelius Ryan's 1959 book and the 1962 film built from it. The D-Day epic with every leading man of the era in it. But the song isn't the film. The film is a wide shot. This is inside the landing craft. Wretched souls puking, shaking fear. Men who trained all summer to be turned from flesh into steel, and then the ramp goes down. No escape. Remorseless shrapnel. Drowning men, denied even a warrior's death. Going under with 80 pounds of kit on. And Bruce singing the line that stops the room. The water is red with the blood of the dead, but I'm still alive. Here's what's wild about the recording. Steve Harris made the call not to master the album at all. No final polish, no compression to make it punch on the radio. He wanted it to sound like the band in a room, which means when the guitars come up under that beach, it doesn't sound produced. It sounds like something happening. And the band have treated it as a companion to Passchendaele, their 2003 song about the First World War. Same lens. A young man, one battlefield, no context, no strategy, just the next 10 seconds. Overlord, Your master, not your God. Read that one again, because that's the thing The Longest Day understands that most war songs don't. The men on Omaha weren't thinking about liberating Europe. They were thinking about the water and the noise and whether the man beside them was still there. The chorus asks the only question that mattered that morning. How long on this longest day till we finally make it through? Not will we win, how long? Number 2. Pink Floyd, Vera, 1979.
Sunny day.
81 seconds. That's it. And it might be the saddest question ever asked on a rock record.
Does anybody else?
The Wall, November 1979. Deep into side 3, the narrator, Pink, is sealed in a hotel room with a television on. And what's playing is a Second World War film. He watches for a moment, and then Roger Waters sings, "Does anybody here remember Vera Lynn? If you were born after 1970, that name might mean nothing to you. In Britain, it meant everything." Vera Lynn, the force's sweetheart, recorded We'll Meet Again in 1939 as the war was pulling families apart. And that song became the sound of British hope. She said her songs reminded the boys what they were fighting for, not ideology, personal things. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. And Waters asks, what has become of you? Does anybody else in here feel the way I do? Here's why that question has a knife in it, and we'll get to the full reason in 1 minute. Waters is not asking a nostalgic question. He's asking about a promise that was made to an entire generation of children. That the men would come home, and for him personally, that promise was broken before he could form a memory. Now here's the part I love, because it's the only genuinely hopeful thing in this whole list. Vera Lynn was still alive when The Wall came out, still on television, and she kept going and going. On the 5th of April 2020, with Britain in lockdown, Queen Elizabeth gave a rare address to the nation, and she ended it with 4 words, "We will meet again."
Remember how she said that.
Vera Lynn watched that broadcast. She was 103 years old, and she said afterwards she had no idea it was coming. Her recording jumped more than 800 places on the charts that week. She re-released it for the NHS. She died 2 months later, at 103.
We would meet again
Number 1, Pink Floyd, When the Tigers Broke Free, 1982. Roger Waters wrote this song, and his own band told him it was too personal to release. Here's the story underneath it. Eric Fletcher Waters was a schoolteacher, son of a coal miner, a devout Christian, and a Communist Party member. And when the war started, he was a conscientious objector. He refused to fight and drove an ambulance through the Blitz instead. Then he changed his mind. He watched what was happening and decided this one had to be fought. He went back to the conscription board and signed up. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant into the 8th Battalion, Royal Fusiliers, on the 11th of September 1943.
In a drawer of old photographs hidden away.
His son Roger had been born 5 days earlier. 5 months after that, on the 18th of February 1944, at Aprilia, on the Anzio bridgehead, Z Company was overrun by German Tiger tanks.
When the forward commander
Eric Waters was killed at about 11:30 in the morning. He was 30. His body was never recovered. And that is the song.
and I found it one day.
Forward commander asking to pull his men back and being refused. The generals gave thanks as the other ranks held back the enemy tanks for a while.
That his men be withdrawn.
The Anzio bridgehead held for the price of a few hundred ordinary lives. A boy finding a scroll in a drawer of old photographs years later. The king's condolences, gold leaf and all, signed with his own rubber stamp.
It was just before dawn.
And that's how the high command took my daddy from me. The band said no, too personal for the wall. It came out as a standalone single in July 1982 instead. And Waters spent the next album, The Final Cut, writing a requiem for a man he never met. Here's the ending nobody could have written. For nearly 70 years, Waters had no idea how or where his father died. Then a veteran named Harry Schindler, who fought at Anzio himself, 93 years old, living in Italy, went into the war diaries and military maps at the Tower of London and found an intelligence report describing the last hours of that unit and the exact spot where they fell. If you've ever grown up around an absence, a person you only know from photographs and other people's sentences, you know that it doesn't fade. It just gets older with you. It took him a lifetime and a stranger's research to find one ditch in Italy.
It was, I recall,